Hey y'all, Chad Murray, chadmurray.biz. Today I want to talk a little bit about my story and tell you kind of how I navigated through building a business from not knowing anything and some of the struggles that I went through to get to nearly 5 million. We'll be busting through 5 million this year with our service business. And I don't work there, by the way. In 2014, I was able to step away from operations, yet I still work there. So, I mean, I could sleep in every day. I decided to take on a career of business coaching. And so I love helping people. But in 2014, I was able to step back from my chimney company. And at that time, we were about, I don't know, 2.1 million. And we're approaching five this year, might even hit 5.5. And it's doing that by I manage the management. I also help hire and do workshops for new hires for our sales department. And that's it. I mean, I'm a pajamapreneur. I like to say that. Uh, at home with my wife, who's retired from the business as well. But let me tell you a little bit how we got here. Before all that happened, why did I want to do that? I mean, not only was it my dream that I didn't want to be a chimney guy the rest of my life, meaning I didn't want to be in the business. Always knew I wanted to build an asset. I wanted to build something that was bigger than me that I could move on from, that would live its own life and still feed my family with finances. And I'll tell you the struggle of starting out. I mean, it was easy. The easiest part of any starting a business is starting, because you're all guts and vinegar and fire and lightning, and nothing can stop you, right? And so you start because you're good at whatever trade you are. And by the way, I wasn't good at the trade I started. And so I started out of the Marine Corps as a window washer. Well, actually, I went to the restaurant business for a while, and then I went to window washing. And then had my first hire from a window washing guy was laid off from a chimney company and told me one rainy day when we could not work, hey, we could be working today. Matter of fact, we'd be busy, water leaks and stuff. And so I invested in that and we started. And that guy was with me, trained me just enough to mean the bare minimum of what a chimney company should be. And I went like that for years. So we started in 97. He was gone by 98. And by probably 2001, I had three trucks doing really well, actually, for just at the time I had two children. Um, and things were good. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I knew enough about the easy things to do. I hadn't been educated on really how to be a chimney company. But I knew how to do the obvious fixes, and I never got certified yet, and that comes up later in the story. But um, and so here we're moving and grooving, and I get up to four trucks. 9/11 happens. We're just past 9/11 now. We're moving into like 2006, and all of a sudden one day I'm remodeling my kitchen, and I sit down to eat KFC. Love KFC. I grew up, actually worked at KFC for a year in high school, and my wife had went and got KFC for me and a helper. That was, we were redoing our countertops and some painting and some flooring, and it was a Monday. Took the day off to do that. The next day we were going to do a bunch of chimney jobs, and things were good. By the way, while I'm doing that kitchen, I had two or three other trucks out working. I had one truck out helping me, so I guess I had two trucks on the road because two of us were in my kitchen, which I was paying him, and then the other two guys are out there making chimney money. And so we sit down to eat, and I take my first bite of of a chicken leg, crispy. I like the crispy. I like original too, but I like crispy chicken. So I take my first bite. I don't even swallow it, and I feel something happen in my stomach abdomen area. Doesn't hurt at all, but I just all of a sudden feel like um a pump, a bicycle pump just pumped me 3 times and I'm like bloated. Boop, and it just instant loss of appetite. And that is not me. I am not a loss of appetite guy ever. And I lost my appetite. And my wife, and by the way, I love, absolutely still love KFC mashed potatoes and gravy, and I wanted none of it. After a full day of working and barely had lunch, probably didn't even have lunch, had breakfast and didn't even have lunch. And here I am, I'm not hungry, and I feel something happen, but it doesn't hurt. So, okay. So, by the way, I was trying to finish the bathroom because the very next day, which I was going to work till midnight, and this was probably like 7 p.m., and all I had left to do was grout and some easy stuff. So the kitchen would be ready for the morning, which my in-laws are coming in town from Wisconsin. They're going to show up like at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I cannot work. I feel weird. I don't feel sick. I don't feel good. So I go to bed. I cannot sleep. And the rest of the evening, I literally was up, high fever. Just the whole looking in the toilet bowl. And at one point in time, I looked in the toilet bowl with my reflection of a clean water in there. So picture this. I'm leaning over. I'm trying to puke. I can't do it. Nothing's really, because I hadn't eaten all day, really, and I am as sick as you could be before death. And I mean, seriously. And I looked down at that water and I looked in through that water into God's eyes. And I said, Lord, if this is it, do it now. Because I can't imagine any other pain. I can't imagine. That's how much it hurt. Okay. Well, I lived through the night and I finally get some sleep. By the way, I'm probably popping pills like crazy, ibuprofen, Tylenol. I'm doing whatever I can do, and nothing's really helping. But I did end up probably around 6:30 in the morning, fell asleep, and my wife wakes me up probably around 9. In-laws are here, and of course, it's your wife's parents, so she's shaking me, get up, come out here and help them get their luggage. And I go out the front door and I get there, and my father-in-law, God rest his soul, he very dry humor, but a funny guy, and looks at me and goes, "Man, you look like shit." And I'm like, I feel like shit. Give me that luggage. He goes, no, you don't. Just go back to bed. And I'm like, okay. And I kind of like agreed. You're Mr. Wise Man. I'm going to bed. So went back in bed. And for the next now, okay, so I sleep a little bit, and then I wake up. I don't know, maybe an hour or two later. Not long. I mean, I probably maybe till noon. And my mother-in-law's a nurse. So I had her look at me, apparently, right? I mean, something's weird. And she goes, I just got the flu. So I'm like, okay, I got the flu. And I felt like I might have the flu. I felt like really bad. But I did feel different, but I'm not a doctor. I mean, and I actually don't get sick very often. So, okay. So the next 3 or 4 days, I don't eat much. I stay at home. And by the way, we had a little retail store. We sold gas logs for fireplaces and some grill stuff, patio grills, a little dinky one. We loved that little shop. It was our first little shop, and my wife had been manning it. And we had just had a baby, by the way, our third girl. Just had her. She's like 2 weeks old. That part of the story is my wife was in the hospital for 2.5 months with her. She tried to come real early. Water broke way early. And they kept her in the hospital. And I had to go visit her every day, take care of 2 kids, take the retail store, la, 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 la. Finally get her home. Baby comes home about 5 days later, and she goes, "Can you remodel the kitchen? My parents will be here in 2 weeks." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay," but I love my wife, so I start remodeling the kitchen. I get sick. I go. So that happened on Monday when I got no more KFC, in-laws on Tuesday, Wednesday don't go to work, Thursday don't go to work, Friday don't go to work, Friday night, no, I'm sorry. Saturday I go to work. Saturday was a big day at our little tiny little retail store. So I'm going to work. And by the way, I actually didn't feel too bad. I hadn't eaten all week though, and I hadn't done any bathroom duties at all that whole week because I hadn't eaten anything either. So I just thought that was a natural thing. Well, here's what happens. I go to work on Saturday. I feel just fine. I am popping ibuprofen, if I recall. I get home and we have Domino's pizza. I ate my half or whatever I ate. And the next day, we're golfers. So my father-in-law is a golfer, and we're watching golf tournament. It's in March, so it's a nothing tournament. But we're watching it, and I start to convulse. Like it's like weird. And it starts getting like I'm having contractions getting closer. So I convulse like every 30 minutes and then, and then do that for a little while. And then it go down to like 20 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 3 minutes. And it's like, holy shit, I got to go to the doctor. I got to go to the emergency room. So I decide and my father-in-law, by the way, is over on the couch, on the other couch. We had two couches in our living room. And he's looking at me, man, this ain't good. And I'm just like, yeah. And by the way, never dawns on me to go to the emergency room yet. So not yet. So I did like feel like I had to poop, but nothing was coming. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go in the bathroom. And if I can't poop, well, then I'm going to the emergency room. By the way, I'm convulsing probably not probably 3 minutes, probably every 5 minutes. And I mean, when I say convulsing, I mean like I'm in a full seizure for about 5 to 6 seconds. Like whatever, right? Yeah, this is how dumb I am. I mean, when it came back to them, I'm a man. Well, I do it. I go to the bathroom and I don't do it. Like nothing. I'm college efforting, doing everything I can to poop, and nothing's coming. But as I'm in there, I can feel myself turn gray. And I kid you not, turn gray. And I knew I'm in trouble right now. Like trouble now. So I go, and by the way, while I did that, it was time for dinner at 4:30. In-laws in town. We'd cooked my wife had cooked the turkey all day that we didn't cook at Christmas because she was in the hospital. And this was in February, by the way. And I poked my head around. Excuse me, one second. Sorry about that. I poked my head around the door into the dining room, through the kitchen. I look at my wife and I go, "Hey, come here." She looks at me. She's like bothered because she's with her parents, trying to impress them first day, just all that stuff. And I look at her now. She's breastfeeding too, by the way, our newborn. And I look at her. I said, "I need to go to the emergency room right now." She's okay. I mean, can I go feed the baby? And I'm like, no, I need to leave right now or call an ambulance. And I looked at her and she saw, I think she finally then looked at me and I looked like an alien, like gray. And my eyes looked weird. And I go, I need to go now. And she kind of went, I could see in her mind go, oh shit. And luckily she had pumped. So my in-laws could take care of the baby. And she had, two girls. I have all two daughters. And so the two older daughters could help. So we go to the emergency room. And without boring you about all that stuff, they figured out my appendix ruptured. Luckily, I had it ruptured for a week. That's death. And the convulsions was my body shutting down. I was going to die. According to the doctor, I would not have made midnight. I would have finally had a seizure, and I would have had toxic shock. I would have busted open The cyst that formed when my appendix ruptured would have been toxic shock. So they figured it all out. They do surgery on me. I'm in the hospital for about a week, but I'm on convalescence for 4 months. Guess what my business did? One guy tried to hang with me. One guy quit out of fear. One guy stole money from me. And another guy, I honestly don't remember what he did, but he went away. So now I'm sitting there with a guy that wants to stick around. I'm trying to teach or try to guide him while I can't even walk because I'm split open from my whole just above my pubic line up past my belly button. And it's stapled, and this is just really not a good scene. Drains coming out of me, and it's a pretty and whatever. It's a pretty big surgery they had on me, and by the way, when we came out of surgery and I was in the hospital for a week, at one point in time, I don't remember if it was the first day or the next day, the doctor comes in to talk to me, and he says the procedure we performed on you has only been perfected 5 years ago, and it was 100% death before the surgery. So you'd had this happen 5 years ago, you were dead because they couldn't figure out how to not get you toxic shock if they took out that infection without cutting it out and making the blood have a signal go up to your brain and it'd kill you. That's what toxic shock essentially is. And so they had figured out how to isolate it and not have that signal sent up to your brain. So anyway, I'm on convalescence. Everybody quits. I'm going bankrupt. My cousin gives me money, and I literally went bankrupt. I did. The whole company relied on me. My wife could answer phones, but no one would do it. I built the company that was 1,000% determined on me going to work. I mean, I could leave for a week, but I could not leave for more than a week. And it freaked everybody else, scared everybody else, thought I was going to die. I'm telling everybody, whatever. And you start finding out one guy's stealing from you. One guy quits because he's scared. And the other two, I don't even quite remember. Doesn't matter. But here I am. I got a brand new baby, 2 kids, wife, 3 or 4 trucks, a mortgage, some credit card debt, some supplier debt. And I am FFF. You know the rest of the word. And I can do nothing about it. I can't get on a roof. I can't go drive. I can do nothing. And guess what happened? I got back off my ass 4 months later, 5 months, 4 or 5 months later, tried to save everything, and I was too far in debt, and everybody came closing in on me, and I had to file bankruptcy. I had no other choice. I tried to talk to everybody. They were all coming after me. I mean, the phone books, this was back on the phone book days, right before the internet. I mean, Google was out, but the phone books were still big. I had some pretty big ads. I was the biggest guy already. Even with 4 trucks, I was still the biggest guy in Dallas then. And yeah, I tanked it. It tanked me. It tanked my whole thing. But what I didn't tell you is while I was in convalescence, I knew I was going to go bankrupt. I had hope, but I knew what the bills were, and there was no way I was digging out. There was just no way. I mean, the one guy stole quite a bit of money from me too, by the way. I mean, some jobs that we had done, paid cash, and it was bad back then. So anyway, so here I am bankrupt. When I was in convalescence, so I started reading out how to run a business. I bought some books off the internet back then, and waited a week and got them, and started reading about what really is how to run a service business. I mean, really, literally. And there was internet at the time, not phone internet really. Yeah, there wasn't any phone internet yet. That was all flip phone days. Nextel, chirp chirp, good chirp. I had those actually. No internet, while you're bored, So I could go to my computer though, and go on that a little bit and read some stuff. But started learning what it is to run a business. And my goal was I'm going to make sure that I never, ever, 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 ever have to make sure the business relies on me. I'm going to train, get managers, and no matter what happens to anybody in this business, in my business, this business will survive. And guess what? I did it. 2014. I handed the keys over. Actually, 2013. Actually, at Christmas time or New Year's Eve, handed the keys. So I didn't even have keys to our shop. My wife did, but I didn't. So handed the keys over and said, "Don't call me for 3 months," because I've been training him for about 3 months, but he was also a technician for me, my best guy at the time, and I had hired him years ago to run the business too. And there we go. I went off to the Wild Blue Yonder, and about 2 weeks later, I called and said, "I can't stay away for 3 months. That's not going to happen. So how can I help?" And that's my journey started. How do I help? And he said, "Well, can you talk to the sales guys?" So yeah, I started showing up for sales meetings, and I was doing sales meetings, or it was a phone call really. Put me on speaker, put everybody on a conference call. Really before Zoom, and I I would talk to them, 2 or 3 times a week. And if he went on vacation, John, twice a week or twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, I'd go back and I'd work it there for him, and it was fun. I'd go out in the field every once in a while, and I had a good time. But the business never relied on me, ever. As a matter of fact, the one time it relied on me was I had this is a whole nother podcast, but I'll make this quick. I will do a podcast on this. So you want to talk about when the shit hits the fan. So fast forward to 2000 and I believe 17, might have been 18, New Year's Eve. I get served for a employment lawsuit from one of my employees that's suing me because I'm not paying overtime correctly or at all, which I had looked and tried to find how to really pay people. I wanted to pay them good. I wanted to put them on commission. I overpaid everybody. And the fact of the matter is they didn't really have that much overtime. So that happens. So while that's going on, and boy, that is almost as bad as dying with an appendix, being sued by your employee who's in a collective action lawsuit, so anybody else in my company can pile on. So while that's happening, I'm being sued by one, maybe all my employees, and not the IRS. I start looking at my sales guys, and I start seeing a trend on their routes, on their trucks, the GPS, that they're doing weird things. So guess what? I started investigating them and find out they're starting their own business and using my equipment, my stuff, and they're doing their appointments in between my appointments. So I'm getting ready to can these guys. And then I look up to God and I'm praying and I say, "God, if there's something else you're going to do to me now. Because when this is all over," and I had the foresight to say this, and this is the truth, I literally said this to God: "Bring it now, because there's nothing you can do to me in business. You've already bankrupted me. I came back. Now I find my whole salespeople is fucking me over, and I've literally I've got that. I've got just all this shit. This employment lawsuit, and then the next morning after I asked for it, the IRS shows up. Audit about a payment we didn't make for payroll taxes. It was a mistake for my CFO did. So here I got the IRS. I'm in a lawsuit with my employee, who could be any employees, which, by the way, nobody ever piled on. I treated everybody good. And that's a good thing about having a good culture. Everybody loves me. I love them. And this guy was a douchebag. And I fired him the day I got the lawsuit, which was, can't do that, whistleblower law. But I wouldn't change it in my world ever again. I fire that son of a gun every second time again, and that's what I paid. Find out his overtime pay was like 33 hours in 2 years. We ended up figuring it all out. 31 and a half hours. What a POS. Went to a lawyer. Actually, you know why he went to the lawyer? He went to the lawyer because I didn't get everybody's signature on, they were all getting really dirty when they were doing jobs, and they're rubbing caulk all over their clothes, their uniforms. So I made them start paying for the cleaning, which was, it's a law. You're allowed to do that. They just have to sign that they're going to have it taken out of their paycheck. Well, I didn't have him sign anything. So he goes to a lawyer about that, $13 a week. And that turns into an overtime lawsuit. But I will tell you this. The IRS settled pretty quick. We just had to make the payment. Not a big deal. No penalty even. Or if there was, it was miniature. Pay the IRS. Lawsuit settles. Like, didn't cost me much. So the lawsuit's gone. IRS is done. And now I'm dealing with these employees that are stealing from me. Are not stealing from me. Using my stuff and starting their own company. In between me stuff. So, I mean, it's kind of stealing from me, but not. Fired every one of them. Went back to the field. And sold more than 4 guys sell in one day than all 4 combined. Hired 2 more guys, got training, and got back out of the business. That's the only time I've been back to the business since I retired from operations in 2014. But I built a business. And I'll tell you, if I had to go back today, I would. But I don't have to, and I won't ever have to. And the reason is the business is significantly running itself. It does not need me. It will not need, my general manager could quit. That'd be the hard one, but I can still do it. I actually have an assistant general manager and I have a sales manager. All of these guys could step into the other guys' shoes and run the business. Now, I don't want any of my managers to quit, but it happens. You know, I mean, the last guy that quit us was actually yesterday. Sucked. The guy had been with us 10 years. Came up and it was a installer. Came up and gave John the GM the keys and walked out apologizing. And we're like, we still don't know why. Certainly wasn't because we don't treat him well. Certainly wasn't going to get paid good. Certainly wasn't because there was any danger. I mean, the guy just quit. Now, he wanted to be a salesman, but he wasn't a salesman. You don't have rocks be salesmen. The guy was a rock. And he was a rock on the roofs. He was good at what he did. He was not a salesman. I mean, the guy didn't even talk to anybody. He wants to be a salesman. So anyway, people in the right places. And we knew that. So I think he might have been a little butthurt about 6 months ago. We told him he was not going to ever be a salesman. So finally he quit. But anyway, I digress on that. Don't build. This is why I'm so passionate about business coaching. Because I don't want you to go through this. I want you to learn everything I know, all the mistakes I've made that I fixed and corrected and got to, over $5 million company soon and $6-7 million company and maybe next year. I mean, we're growing. We're stuck at 4.5 million and we're not stuck anymore. We are killing it. I mean, April, we've never made money and we made 50 grand last month. And I say this, I'm recording this on May 8th, 2025. You might hear this years from now. But April of 2025 is the first April we've ever made money in 29 years. So with that said, May's here and we broke even this week. Next week's another challenge. So we'll figure it out. But what I don't want you to do, before I go back to you guys, is I want you to learn from what I know. I've helped most businesses that work with me that are implementers. Like, I can only take a horse to the water. If you don't drink, you don't drink. But if you implement, you're going to double your business in a year and a half. Guaranteed. I mean, I don't put that in writing, but everyone who's done it has done it. I mean, everybody who has implemented. And by the way, it's not always do as I say. Like, I'm a consultant that I'm not even a business coach, guys. I know how to business coach, but I'm a consultant. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you solve your problems. I'm going to give you the systems. I'm going to do all that. And I'm going to do it from my heart. And I'm going to do it from my experience. And what's nice about me is I still own a working, scaling service business. I've learned a lot just in the last 12 months that what I've learned and I've implemented, like, I'm your guinea pig. What I learn and implement, working or doesn't work. If it works, I carry it on to my other people. If it doesn't work, everyone kind of got it. I'm glad I didn't do that. Most of the stuff we do now works. Very rarely are we not. And so I want that to carry that to you. This is my life. And I want your life to not have to go through all that struggle that I did. And I don't want you to feel, if you're in a position where if your business can't operate without you, you need someone to help you get out of that position. That position is scary. And don't and I'm not trying to scare you, but I've almost died twice. COVID in 21, I was in the hospital. And guess what happened when I was in the hospital? So let's talk the tale of 2 times I almost died. I already told you the first one. First one, appendix. Literally almost died, went bankrupt. Second time, COVID 2021. And August 31st of 21, my lungs crashed. Went to the emergency room. They saved me there. I wasn't in big jeopardy at the time. Matter of fact, I had gone through my 10 days of quarantine and I was coming. The 31st was my day. Like tomorrow I'm out. So September 1, I was back working. Could go out in the public, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Nope. Matter of fact, I had the meeting that morning with the doctor. My wife had it too. We had a virtual meeting on an iPad. Talked to him. They're like, great. I felt good. My wife felt good. We were outside. It was a beautiful day. And then about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I looked and I had the little oxygen monitor on my finger. I looked at my oxygen monitor and it said 85. You're supposed to be up at 95 to 100. And here I'm at 85. And I'm like, oh, that ain't good. So of course I start trying to breathe. I don't feel like I'm out of breath. So anyway, long story short is I'm in trouble. 85. It's not really dropping, but I'm at 85. So I call up the doctor really quick. I get the doctor back on. My wife's on the phone talking to her friend or something, whatever. And right when my wife comes in, the doctor says, go to the emergency room. And my wife hears that and goes, what? What's going on? Like, I didn't tell my wife what was even going on because this happened so fast. So we ran to the emergency room. And yeah, my wife so all the way there. So my best friend died a year earlier. This exact scenario. Lungs crashed at home, was sick all week, went to the doctor, and in 2021 or 2020, died. Was in the hospital about 2 months, and then not even 2 months, 5 weeks, and died. Here now, I'm a year later going to the hospital, crying all the way there, hugging my wife while she's a stone. She's just freaked out. And in 2021, she wasn't allowed to go in with me. So she had to drop me off at the ER, and I had to walk in by myself. Long story short is I'll tell that in a different story. But while I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, and by the way, 2 nights later, my lungs did collapse and I almost died and I almost went on a ventilator and they saved my life. So anyway, while that's happening, years later, my business is scaling. We're doing over that while I was in the hospital, my business started doing 100K weeks for the first time. We'd never done 90 was our biggest week ever. While I was in the hospital, we had 2 of the 3 weeks we did $100,000 in sales. That's the tale of two different businesses. 2006, I went bankrupt. 2021, my business scaled while I could have been dying. And had I died, my business would still move on, would still go on. The whole plan's there. It'll still move on. It'll still work. My wife will get paid for the rest of her life, and they know what to do. Now, my guidance would be gone, but they already know what to do with my guidance is gone. We have backups for me even. So, guys, I want to help you build a business that you never, ever, ever have to worry about. That's my passion, and that is what I do. I help with systems. I help with mindset. I help with sales. God, I love sales. I can help anybody the first month you're with me, I will make a difference in your sales. 100%. I'll get you up in your prices. I'll get you knowing how to rebuttal. I'll get you know how to train, and we'll get you a process, a presentation, a management system for sales. You will be a sales juggernaut after 1 month with me. But then you got to know the back end. You got to know your numbers. You got to know how to market. You got to know how to manage. You got to learn to be a leader. You've been a niche guy, and you knew your niche. Now you got to learn to be a leader. You got to learn how to talk to people. You got to learn how to identify. You got to learn how to hire. All this stuff in the back end. You got to learn how to do production. You got to learn how to talk to vendors to get better prices. There's so much to business that I have learned, and in the good and bad from bad things, and I wrote a whole book about it. Operation Entrepreneur Freedom by Chad Murray. You can get it on Amazon. The new edition is on there. Actually, I just published it tonight. Um, it has at the back end, it shows you where to go to work with me. So if you want to work with me and you don't want to be one of those people that are scared if something happens to you, your business goes away, because what's going to happen with your wife, your kids, your family, if you go away, if you get sick, if you get hurt, you fall off a ladder, you get in a car accident, what happens to your business? How long can your business survive without you? But then we fix that, but you got to get, and I don't care if you retire like me, you can still work your business all you want, but we got to get it to where it will survive without you and scale. Nobody wants, I mean, let me tell you, not nobody. A lot of people are okay with $1 million or less business. But if you want to scale your business, and I don't care if you're in West Texas, nowhere in West Virginia, I can double your sales because you're probably not doing the potential. Just with what you're doing now. I'm not even talking about adding more marketing. So anyway, you want to get to know me and you want to know me. So just go ahead and go to you got to do the www. I'm trying to fix this. I don't know why GoDaddy cannot fix this in the DNS, but you got to type www.chadmurray.biz. Okay. You go there. There's a place right there. It says work with me or apply for me or some button right there. You click it, fill out a calendar, set an appointment with me, and let's talk. We're just going to talk and we're going to solve start solving the biggest business, your biggest problem, whatever it is, immediately. I do that for free. You don't have to sign up for nothing. I'll just help you for free. Then do it. If you don't work with me, that's fine. Keep following my content, and when you're ready to work for me, great. But right now, let me just help you solve something. Let me just do it. So that's a gift from me to you. Just go ahead. You get a free session. Call me up or fill out the thing. Apply to come with me. Fill out the form, and you'll set the appointment. We'll show up, and we'll spend an hour to an hour and a half, and I'll get you in the right way to start solving whatever issue you have. So, guys, I am Chad Murray. I hope to help you because that is my mission in my life. Thanks.